Addiction has shaped human history, influencing art, literature, philosophy, and social structures, while challenging moral and ethical perspectives. According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, in 2023, one out of every six Americans over the age of 12 struggles daily with either a drug addiction or alcoholism. This statistic highlights the widespread nature of addiction in society. Addiction is not only a personal struggle, but a societal issue, which has shaped laws, ethics, cultures, influencing literature, philosophy, and societal norms. Historian Harry Levine, in 1978, tells about how societies over time have continued to define and redefine addiction. This topic is of great interest to me due to its significant impact on our world today, as well as its own personal influence in my life. First, I'll be talking about the role of addiction in literature, philosophy, and religious thought. Next, I'll examine addiction and how it's been depicted in art and music. Finally, I'll explore social responses to addiction, including stigma, criminalization, and rehabilitation efforts. My name is Jesse Hall. Addiction has been a recurring theme throughout history, seen in ancient texts such as Greek tragedies and religious scriptures, which often depict addiction as a moral struggle. David Courtwright, in 2001, a historian, explains that Greek Dionysian cults were often depicted by their use of excessive alcohol and their altered states of mental consciousness. Edgar Allan Poe's writings often reflected his own struggles with alcoholism in many of his novels. William S. Burroughs, in 2003, talks about how 19th century novels such as Confessions of an English Opium Eater by Thomas de Quincey gave first-hand accounts of addiction. Philosopher Hannah Pickard in 2011 explains that addiction is a complex interaction between personal choice and biological influences, not merely a failure of willpower. According to Gabor Mate, existentialist thinkers like Jean-Paul Sartre and Friedrich Nietzsche have examined addiction as a form of self-destruction and an escape from existential suffering. As addiction continues to influence how we think about morality and responsibility, it also deeply affects cultural expression. Many famous artists through time have struggled with addiction, and it is often seen in their work. Art historian Norbert Schneider in 2000 states that artists like Vincent van Gogh have often had their drug addictions and, in his case, mental illness shown in many of his paintings, such as Starry Night. According to Willard Bone, in 2016, modern and contemporary art movements like surrealism and abstract expression were often shaped by the artist's exploration of substance use and their altered creative states. In music genres like blues, jazz, rock, hip-hop, and rap, many artists were affected by their drug use, which was displayed in their music. Barbara Tischler in 2019 notes how Billie Holiday's own personal heroin addiction was often seen and reflected in her music, such as in her song Strange Fruit. According to Charles R. Cross, in 2001, the 27 Club was a group of music artists who died prematurely at the age of 27 due to substance abuse. Some of these notable artists were Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain, Janis Joplin, and Amy Winehouse. Societal responses to addiction often range from stigma to rehabilitation efforts, reveal an evolving attitude towards human nature, free will, and social responsibility. Early responses to addiction were often punitive measures. And David T. Courtwright in 2001 explains that prohibition was an era in American history which was an attempt to eliminate alcohol from society, which ultimately failed and led to criminal organizations and underground speakeasies. And according to Carl L. Hart, in 2021, the war on drugs that was initiated in the 1970s in America was an attempt to criminalize addiction that continues to this day. Recently, however, perspective on addiction has shifted towards it being seen as a public health issue and not merely a criminal issue. In recent years, addiction has often been recognized as a disease rather than merely a moral struggle. Neuroscientist Dr. Nova Volkow in 2016 clearly demonstrates that addiction alters brain chemistry, which makes it much more difficult to exercise self-control, and claims that support is essential in addiction recovery, not punitive measures. Addiction has shaped humanity and history by influencing cultural expression, philosophical debates, and societal policies. Literature, philosophy, and religion have often framed addiction as a moral and existential issue. Art and music provide insight into the struggles and resilience of those affected. Societal responses continue to evolve, revealing shifting perspectives on free will and responsibility. And as Johann Hari states in 2015, the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it is connection.